Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Slamtown. I'm Mike Ginn. That's Dan Bakley, back for another episode. This week, we finally are getting to the elephant in the room. We've hinted about it for weeks. Finally, we're talking about it. Triple H's impact, the game's impact since taking over creative of WWE. How's it affected the business? How's it affected the brand? And what can we look forward to going forward? So Dan and I will break that down. But of course, first, go ahead and check out FightersFirst.shop. Let our apparel be a part of your story. We've launched so many great collections lately with Ivan Koloff, Paul Lorndorff, all this stuff coming out. So go ahead and check out FightersFirst.shop. Get all the latest. We got some original stuff in there for Slamtown. Of course, Dan's show, Cage My IQ. So check out all of that. Dan's got one of the old school shirts on as well. I might bring that one back. If you guys like it, leave a comment. Let me know. I'll put it back in the shop. I don't care. That's cool. I love that shirt. So let us know. Check it out. FightersFirst.shop. Dan, how you feeling today, buddy?
I am feeling good, ready to talk about the game. It's all about the game.
He's and how you play it. Over. It's all about your game and how you play it. And that's what we're talking about today. Yeah. Triple H, obviously Vince McMahon went through all the allegations, all the stuff came out. A lot of moving parts in that, but led to the big man's retirement. For all intents and purposes, he's out. He's not even partially foot in the door. He decided, all right, if I'm going to be out, I'm going to be out. I'm out. Yeah. And obviously, he's still the biggest shareholder in the business. He can do whatever he wants with his stocks and his money. But as far as say in the business, he stepped all the way out. So that left Stephanie, who was about to take a leave of absence or just taken a leave of absence to come back as the board asked her to. I've already said how I feel about that on air about that conspiracy theory. But Stephanie back in charge of the CEO position. Nick Khan takes over the CFO position. Or not, was it CFO or COO? He's taking over the business side of things.
Yeah.
And then Triple H has been handed more and more every week, seems like he went from head of creative to like now just entire creative for the entire brand.
And it got a raise a month in.
A raise a month in. It's good to be married to the boss. But Triple H has taken everything, right? He has basically taken it all. He is the Vince McMahon of creative now. And that's not just for Raw and SmackDown. You clearly have seen it with NXT as well. And obviously he built NXT up to what it was. He wasn't the originator of NXT. That was more of a developmental with Bill DeMott and a bunch of other people, Matt Bloom. Triple H stepped in at one point, brought in the black and gold, made it what it was, and elevated that. We're seeing that getting ready to go through another elevation. Shawn Michaels is kind of in charge of it. Triple H has his hands in that. He has his hands in Raw, SmackDown, obviously all the pay-per-views, and all the storylines. Where am I going with all this? The game is now in charge of everything. So for what we've been crying about for years, especially when he first took over, Dan, he gave it to us. He gave us he brought people back. He gave us storylines that made sense. He gave people their first names back. He kind of appeased the internet. We accused Tony Khan of always booking for the smarts. Triple H kind of did that in the beginning. He kind of, started booking a little bit for what we've been crying for. Right off the bat, let me get your thoughts. How do you feel initially about Triple H taking over the product? Are you excited about it? Where do you think it probably could go?
First off,
And what are your thoughts on the first few couple months of it actually happening?
My first thought of him going back was, like a lot of people say, NXT. He's the guy that came up with the Performance Center. That was his idea. He wanted to do that. It just so happens he saw FCW, and they were having a tough time where they were doing it. So he was like, "Come over here. I'll give you guys more exposure. Bring all the trainers." It was like, "I'll just rename it NXT, and it'll be like a developmental and true developmental, not like, oh, we'll take you here and there. We might take you, we might not." And then he went from there, and then it became a thing of its own. NXT.
Yeah, we talked about it. Teach people the WWE style from the ground up.
Yeah. When I first saw the announcement that he was taking over, I was excited because I'm like, okay, fresh mind, younger. I loved NXT Black and Gold. It was one of my favorite things to watch at the time because it was something new. You got indie wrestlers who are putting on banger matches week in and week out. It first started out at 1 hour on WWE Network, and then they went to 2 hours on cable TV on USA Network when they went live. And I felt like it just slowly changed. Like he's really good with the long-term storytelling. Triple H is great with that. He's great with letting the characters be themselves. But of course, as time goes on, it kind of went a little bit down and down just because of the fact you got out of the honeymoon phase, and then Vince was all about bringing them up and then changing their character. So it kind of lost a lot of its momentum and rest because it was like, oh, I'm going to be great here. But then when I get caught up, all these guys aren't really getting used as much. Now he's taken over that. And it's like, okay, we've seen him bring back almost everybody that basically got fired in the past year.
My only question is, by the time this episode airs, is Bray back? because this episode will air. We're recording this episode, behind the curtain, pull back the curtain, pull back the kayfabe. We're recording this about a week before it airs. And we know the rumors of Bray coming back imminent. So like you said, everybody.
Yeah.
Except for Paige.
Except for Paige. A little late on that one. But he's getting everybody invested. Like I told you off screen, the first Raw that he took over, he did the first hour commercial free, tried to get people hooked right away. You're getting a lot of different viewpoints of like storylines and rivalries being made. He's continuing some of the Vince McMahon ones, of course, dismayed to a couple of us, letting them finish it up. But then they keep finding work. With 3 hours of Raw, you can add more people. My only thought process and kind of like not say bad thing, but like I'm questioning is this just going to be the honeymoon phase where, all these new people, like we talked about Tony Khan, bringing people back and using that. WWE's doing the same thing. When that wears off and you've seen them for 2 months, is it going to be the same excitement? Are they going to have the matches that you expected them to have? And because it was like, oh, I like them in NXT. They're their own self, like a big point carrying cross. They bring him back to old school NXT. He's only wrestled once since coming back to the main roster. So it's like, I know
in fairness, they were already finishing up the Drew and Roman story.
Well, and then he had obligations to finish on the indie scene that Triple H was honoring. But now he's all done all that, and he's still not wrestling right now. He's just popping up here and there. And I've always been a guy with MJF to kind of, in AEW, to criticize the fact that he doesn't wrestle enough, that he needs to wrestle more often, because if you're going to pay a guy that much and bring him in, you want him to be wrestling, so he's not rusty when he does get in the ring. I don't like the guys that once a month or once every other month, because then basically you are what we hate, which is a part-time wrestler who comes in around WrestleMania and takes one of the
don't say we
job.
Don't say we. I don't hate part-time wrestlers.
You know you're thinking it.
I don't hate part-time wrestlers.
I hate part-time wrestlers. I hate it.
I think that's a bullshit title, because like it's a paid job. Like
it's a paid job.
If you could show up to work 4 times a year and get $1 million, how am I going to hate you for it? Like, the truth is, if people didn't pop every time these people walked in the door, if people didn't watch every time they walked in the door, then they wouldn't be walking in the door. Like,
but then it comes to catch-22. How are you going to build stars if you're always roadblocking them by guys coming in at the most important time?
What about oversaturation? Like, what about the other side of it when they shove somebody down your throat the whole damn time and you're sick of seeing them?
Well, exactly. And then
how long did it take for Roman to get over? It didn't get over until he had the reoccurrence of the leukemia, so he took time off. And then he was kind of in and out, like he wasn't around beginning of COVID because of like the dangers of him being around, being immune compromised. And then all of a sudden he's barely there. He's coming in and out, and people are dying to see him because now all of a sudden we missed him.
Yeah, and I'm one of the guys that's tired of the character now.
Nah, I love it.
I don't like
keep the belt on him for 7. Keep the belt on him for 7 years, 8 months, and 2 days. Break.
Yeah. But he's going to be inactive for 6 years of that 7 years.
Come on,
That's
man.
the problem.
Look, back in the heyday, how often did Hulk Hogan defend that title on TV? He defended on house shows and stuff, but you never see that. Like he'd go to Japan and defend it, but once every 4 months, you might see Hulk Hogan defend the belt.
But Roman's not even doing the house shows anymore.
He does some of them. He does pop up.
Not anymore. Like it's in his contract where he doesn't have to do them now.
Yeah, but he does ones he wants to. He does pop up from time to time. Look, I think personally, I thought it started off very hot. I thought Triple H came out guns blazing. Yeah. I think he missed the boat on a couple big things. One, I hate when people come out for their debut or re-debut for an interview. I hate that. Like Johnny Gargano could have came out with a run-in, the Ciampa match, running in the theory.
I thought that one was okay because we didn't even know he was going to be there.
First of all, Johnny's not a talker. He's not a great talker. He never has been.
He's improved a lot.
He's improved, but he's not like a character build, like just a natural charismatic talker. Same reason they put Ciampa with The Miz, right? Like, these guys in the ring are like, wow. But on the mic, they're kind of like sometimes
Well, I'm on the opposite. I think Ciampa's fire on the mic. I think he's great on the mic. I think it just they put him with The Miz to build himself as a heel and to get people to know him more.
That's a case of finishing events. I think that's a case of finishing events storyline.
Yeah.
Like I think Triple H was like, all right, that's okay. But eventually I'm going to get you off of The Miz and get you rolling. My thoughts are that Triple H has done a great job of building the NXT he wanted on the main roster. I feel like he's doing it. He brought back big names like Braun Strowman. Obviously, Bray's coming back, whether it's sooner or later, whether it's happened already by the time the show airs. He's bringing back these big names. They wanted to bring back Paige. She had already, got her thing with AEW. But the truth is that also, same thing we talk about with AEW, like what happens when you bring in somebody, then somebody else gets left out. We talk about the top and the bottom of the roster. And if you keep bringing in these NXT names, then what happens to the main roster guys that now aren't being used? Because they don't have a quote-unquote dark and elevation and a YouTube network to kind of keep these guys busy. They have Main Event. They kind of still do sometimes. They have 205 Live, which evidently still exists. But even 205 Live doesn't actually have 205 guys anymore. Like Odyssey Jones and these dudes are like 300 pounds. Like, what are you doing? But that's their here or there. The truth is, though, they do have a lot of television time. They have Raw, SmackDown. A lot of house shows are starting to get going again. They put Road Dogg, Jesse James, Brian James in charge of what Jeff Jarrett was going to do with the house shows, building them up. And they do record a lot of those as well. People don't know that. So sometimes stuff happens and they put it on TV to give you a reason to go to house shows, which I always thought was great. But you said like this, all right? And then it kind of came down a little bit, like since Triple H is taking back over the honeymoon phase. And I think the honeymoon phase is probably really good, like wording for it, because now we're seeing, like, let's be real. There's no reason Logan Paul, after having 2 matches, should be fighting Roman Reigns in Saudi Arabia for the title. But how would Vince think, right? Vince would like, it's money. He's a reality TV star. It's not about his skill level. It's about selling tickets, and Saudi Arabia eats that shit up, right? Like they love big names. They love stuff like that. So that's a Vince move, in my opinion. Like that's a, let's sell tickets for Saudi Arabia because we don't care about storylines with Saudi Arabia. They never have. It's 100% same reason they bring back Goldberg and other things. Saudi Arabia is a cash cow. It's not like they take that, quote unquote blood money. They take it every time. And whether how you feel about Saudi Arabia or not, that's what we know they book those shows for.
And then I think he's only under contract until WrestleMania also.
So I thought that at first too.
Because technically it's a 2-year deal, but technically the way that they have
it fought me last time I said that.
But well, it's technically a 2-year deal, but
I said that first time, and you said no, it's longer.
Well, technically it's not longer, but in their terms, it's 2-year deal.
It's a multi-year deal, yeah.
And it spans over 2 years. But
well, actually, I have a correction.
There's the amount of matches that he can wrestle.
So I have a correction on that, actually. He is actually signed for 3 years.
That's just 3 years now.
It's 3 years, and it does have a limited number of matches, but he's gone back and added to it. He talked about it on his Impulsive show one time, and I saw a clip of it not too long ago. It's a 3-year deal, so 2 WrestleManias. But what it was is setting up a storyline leading to one and then to another. But he loved it so much that he added a bunch of dates to it. We've seen Triple H very hands-on with developmental, right?
Yeah.
We've seen him very hands-on with NXT and that building of that brand. And when that brand kind of went to crap when he had all his medical problems, he knew it was coming, but he couldn't stop it. And he said all the right things since then, like, "Oh yeah, I was on board with it." But he really, he wasn't, because he's really quickly rebuilding all that on the main roster.
And now it's more of a, okay, it's not going to be NXT Black and Gold, but it's going to be like a combination of my NXT and then Vince's version, where you got stars that are from the indies, but then you got stars that you want to develop up at the same time. Yeah,
he's seen the value in it. He saw the value
and talk about trying to make a big change with NXT. All they did was they took 2.0 off the side of it, and they
made
NXT.
It less colorful.
Well, it's still the same. It's still the same color scheme. It's just
no, it's not. It's like black and silver now, or something like that.
That's the logo, but when you watch it on TV, it's still the same color scheme. They just didn't change it yet.
But here's the thing. Like, this is where I think they're going with this. And so turning NXT back into developmental, right?
Yeah.
And I got kind of sidetracked to what my thoughts were. So far, I'm like been super excited, but I think he's kind of going, the honeymoon phase is kind of ending a little bit. So, but I think you have to kind of, like you said, he's a long-term storyteller. And sometimes you have to like let some of this stuff play out. He did a really cool thing, like kind of reintroducing Dexter Lumis, right? Yeah. He didn't really know what was happening. All these things kept falling. There was a car in the back, and I don't think the camera crew was kind of up to date on what Triple H was really trying to do. So I don't think it came off as well on TV as it probably could have. I think some of the scenes were kind of rushed, and I don't think they really kind of like played it off as they could have. But we'll see how the payout comes with Dexter Lumis and everything with the Miz.
And you got a lot of stuff happening in the background. Like if you're not
makes you pay attention to everything.
Yeah. Like in one scene, I think Toxic Attraction are walking to the ring on a SmackDown. Yeah. And in the background, you see Nikki ASH and Doudrop. And Nikki ASH throws something at Doudrop's face.
Yeah.
But you vaguely see it. Like, you got to watch everything.
Yeah, that's a really cool thing I think he's done. And then also I will say the long-term storylines you talk about, now we're at the point where let's see where this pays off.
Mm-hmm.
Because, like, how many times is Riddle going to lose to Seth Rollins? So he finally wins in, say, the Fight Pit match. But then what's that really mean if he's lost 5 times in a row before that? So, I mean, is it really a payoff? Like, if you keep losing, then you finally win? They're not even. It's not like they're going to be even.
That's that Vince 50-50 booking right there.
Yeah, and it's just like, all right, but let's see where that goes. But what I was going is, like, so one thing Triple H has been very hands-on, and actually what's supposed to be his last match, was developing the WWE, what's it called? Their developmental stuff they're doing where they're signing these college athletes and stuff like that. The NIL, thank you. With Gable Stevenson, he was supposed to do that one. Like, that was supposed to be the WrestleMania match he was supposed to have before he got benched because of his heart. That he was going to use that to catapult and like launch Stevenson's career. And then of course Stevenson now might go back for another year, and that's a whole nother story. But
he's not even doing good with training. And the funny thing is, the only reason they signed his brother was because he said that if you sign me, you got to sign my brother. And how funny that is the fact that his brother's doing better than him. His brother is picking it up quick. They came out and somebody said that one of the dirt cheaters said that the way that Damon Kemp is his character is picking the business up. It's crazy that he was just a throw-in for when Gable Stevenson got signed, and he's struggling in the ring.
Yeah, but where I was going with that is that's the future that Triple H is invested into, right?
Yeah.
The NILs, the signing the Logan Pauls, the signing the Valerie Loredas, people don't know, I was looking it up actually just a few minutes ago, is that, how often has she actually been in the ring? We have both come from MMA backgrounds, covering MMA regularly, so we know Valerie Rader very well. And she has been in the ring. She's been working with Norman Smiley, Matt Riddle, and some other people, getting comfortable in the ring. Now, we don't know how fast she'll take to it. We don't know how fast she'll get up to speed. I think she has trouble talking sometimes. Like, one of the things we've always seen with her on interviews is she's kind of stumbling over her words a little bit. She gets over emotional sometimes, and you don't really, she struggles a little bit. She does great in front of the camera. We know her charisma is off the charts when it comes to dancing and jumping around and just, being herself. But as actually talking, that's something she might need to work on. I feel like, being a mixed martial artist, I feel like somebody that's done that her whole life, from Taekwondo and karate all the way up to jiu-jitsu and everything else, I feel like the in-ring part will be easy for her. I feel like the mic part is going to be harder, trying to get a crowd not to hate her, because we know even in MMA, the crowd would turn on her, like the guys would cheer her and the women would boo her because of quote unquote her gimmick, right? Her Instagram model status and so on. Does she take it seriously? Logan Paul is the same way. Logan Paul is very much loved and hated because of his obnoxious gimmicks and stuff that he does. But we do know behind the scenes he takes it very seriously, and he had a couple really good matches with The Miz, the tag team one and the solo one. We've seen people like Bad Bunny come in, have really good matches. So there's still the celebrity aspect that the Vince McMahon era that Triple H still holds on to. He sees the value of putting eyes on the prize. But he's very interested in these top-level athletes that you can mold, that you can grow. The one thing we say all the time about AEW is they don't have a developmental. They don't have a way to, they have a couple of wrestling schools, Dustin and all that stuff, but they don't have a way to cultivate talent to their style. They allow indie wrestlers to come in and be whoever the hell they are, and they either work or they don't work. Whereas WWE comes in, and you see it in a lot of guys that went to AEW. You see it in the Adam Coles. You see it in the everybody from Swerve to Keith Lee. They get it in their face. Yeah. You see their reactions. I don't think anybody has a reaction better than Adam Cole when something's happening. His face tells a whole story. You get that from WWE training. You see it with Randy Orton. You see it with the way AJ's done it throughout the years, since coming to WWE versus his old work. In the ring, he's fantastic. But what you see now is character development. That's what WWE teaches you. They can teach anybody to wrestle. What they want in you to be is become a superstar, to become somebody that's bigger than life than just a professional wrestler. You can, like Triple H said, you can be in a front of 5 people. If you're getting paid $5 to wrestle, you're a professional wrestler. We want superstars. And that's not a knock on wrestling, because wrestling is what we do. But it's more than what just happens in the ring. It's what happens out of the ring. It's an entire production. It's an entire show. And I think Triple H is very big on bringing in these top-level cheerleaders and volleyball players and track athletes. And, you look at Bianca Belair, who came in from track straight to WWE and the success she's had. They want athletes that they can mold, that they can show you this is how you become a WWE superstar. Not a professional wrestler, a WWE superstar. So I think that the NIL program is going to take over in the next several years, where you see some of these graduating classes, if you will, going. Some, some will work, and then some will be doing different things with their life. Some won't make it. You won't ever hear their name again on the main roster.
Some might go to AEW.
Yeah, some might go to AEW. I feel like no matter how you feel about WWE, everybody that stepped foot in a WWE ring or in a production studio is better for it no matter where else they go in their career. You see how they know how to work a camera. I remember when Finn Balor first came to WWE, and they were still at the WWE Network at the time in the United States, where they would show these documentaries of people kind of getting going. And he was NXT, and there was documentary following Finn Balor a little bit, and you could see Triple H saying, "All right, that's really cool, but make sure you look at the camera when you do this. Or make sure you know where the hard camera is over here, because that's where the money is made." Yeah. And I still remember that, because now all of a sudden you look at Finn Balor, who has a more epic entrance than Finn Balor. You don't even remember half his matches, As amazing as he is in the ring, he's great in the ring, but you don't remember half his matches. You remember that Finn Balor entrance, though.
Yeah.
And you remember, like, when they're
it's probably how they created the cross entrance. It's probably that.
Absolutely. And you see that. Look at Karrion Kross. Perfect example. Look at the Killer Cross, the White Rabbit, all that stuff from Lucha Underground, MLW, all that stuff before his NXT WWE run. And then look at his performances in the EC3, like create your own destiny thing, like narrative, create your narrative thing. Look at his MLW stuff after his WWE run.
There, New Japan, he's had good stuff there.
Look how he acts. Look how he transitioned into a better performer. Not a better wrestler, a better performer. And I think that's where Triple H adds to the product so much more than anybody else, to bring it full circle. He understands, because he's been in that ring for 30 years or whatever it was. He's been in the ring. He's been at the highest levels of being in the business and surrounded by some of the best that's ever done it. He's been in the shit show of WCW. He's been on the main stage of WrestleMania. And he knows how to do it. He's one of the boys. He's quote unquote a player's coach, so people want to work for him. Bobby Fish famously said it, like, oh, I would go to war for that man. He gets it, and he doesn't lie to people. He won't bullshit you. If you're not going to work out on TV, it's like, look, this is what we need to fix. If you can't fix it, then it's not going to work. But if you do, I'll go to bat for you. And he does. He goes to bat for you. You saw it with Johnny Gargano. You saw it with Kevin Owens. You saw it with some of these people. They were big in NXT, and now he's reinventing their characters to make them big. Thomas Ciampa, some of those guys. Let me ask you this, Dan, because I've been talking too long, to bring you back in this conversation. We know what the honeymoon phase is over, right? At this point now, let's see what happens, right?
Yeah.
What is going to happen?
I think you're going to get a lot of matches. I think it's going to be more wrestling and less of the promos.
And
You're
also, how great is it that they can say wrestling again?
Yeah. You brought back some of the forbidden words again as soon as possible. I said it right before last week. I was like, I can only imagine Vince like having a heart attack because all this stuff being reversed.
Somebody said wrestling. He was like, what?
You know? What was that? But
like, no, Vince, you're hearing things. It's okay. Go back to your.
But I'm liking. They're still doing the promos. They're still doing the vignettes, but more. They're trying to fit more wrestling into the program. And I said the wrestling's never the problem with Triple H. I feel like in the long-term storytelling, it's just him knowing when the payoff, the time to pay off the rivalry comes. That sometimes he goes a little too longer than he should, or he revisits a rivalry way too much. He did that a lot with, even as much and great as they were, the Ciampa and Gargano feuds in NXT. They kind of did Cole and O'Reilly way too much, even towards the end. They tried to milk it out, and a lot of people weren't satisfied with the ending results of both. So we got that, but just like people were,
but isn't that what NXT was really supposed to be for? Is trying stuff until see if it works.
Yeah. But
like, people got so obsessed with it being a third brand, because it overachieved, right?
What do you think happens when you go into live TV?
Yeah, but I mean, but let's be real. It overachieved.
If it's gonna be a developmental brand, keep it on YouTube or keep it on Peacock. Why?
I mean, it was a victim. TV? It was a victim of its own success, right? Because it was supposed to be this, and people really ate it up. And so they did what any business will do. They milked it, and they made money off of it. Go ahead.
But with me, it's going to be like, you bring all these people in, what's going to happen? Because you know you're not going to be able to use them all at once. I think that's almost damn near impossible. Keeping them happy is going to be one thing. It's great in the beginning, like we said, but how are they going to be 6 months from now? I think you're going to have people that are like, oh, I was happy to come back. I learned a lot. That's never the problem. Learning and becoming a better wrestler there, it's get on TV.
And making money.
And making money. Just like I said before, what happens when WrestleMania comes around? He said he's going to have less of the part-timers. I beg to differ. I think it's still going to happen. Are you going to tell me that Brock Lesnar's not going to show up? Are you going to tell me that Goldberg, I'm sorry for saying that, isn't going to show up?
Don't you put that in the universe, Dan.
But it's going to happen. And because of that, one or two of these people, the more of those part-timers you bring in, that's less time for them. Unless because they do 2 days now, they can find time to do it. I just think that like practice what you preach. Don't say you're going to change everything, but then still bring back half of the stuff that Vince did. Like you can have the same mindset. And then another thing, I just saw it this week. NXT is supposed to be live. They're going back to recording every other week, to where they're going to record 2 episodes and one's going to be recorded, so it's not going to be live. So why say it's live when half the time it's not going to be?
Well, I mean, I don't have a problem with that on the developmental level, because let's be real, they can book a whole day of recording, and it gives them more time and less travel to work with some of these people behind the scenes and really develop into the performance center. You know, when you're traveling and you're performing like they were at one point, doing house shows and everything else before the pandemic, like NXT was a full third brand of, while it was still developmental, it was a third brand. And it got to the point where, you know, Rhea Ripley was beating Charlotte Flair at WrestleMania. Like, it was a full third brand. And at the same time, they were also trying to develop these people. They were still in the performance center. You still had people who had never been a day in this business, or an indie star they were trying to transition to the WWE style in the performance center. If they're recording one full long day of 2 episodes, and then the rest of the 13 days they're working out and working in the ring, I'm all for that, because the product in the end gets better. Like, I think what you're going to see by the third, I guess you want to call it NXT 3.0, like what you're going to see out of it is going to be a combination of, all right, let's get some really cool storylines out of this. Let's push some really good people. Let's make it kind of a third brand again, but let's not lose sight of the priority, which is developing superstars. And that's where Triple H shines. He shines more than anybody in making other people look good. There's a famous story about the first ladder match with Razor and Shawn on WWE TV, and it was like, Vince is like, well, you can't do this, you can't do that, you can't do this with the ladder. And Shawn and Razor are just like, what the hell do we do? And Triple H is like, well, why don't you try this? And why don't you do this? And why don't you do that? And they did exactly that. It became a classic match.
Yeah.
Like, he's always had Cerebral Assassin. He's always had a mind for the business. He grew up around it. You know, he went through the hard knocks of Killer Kowalski. He came up in the business and paid his dues with WCW and some other stuff. He kind of came up. He didn't really, do a lot of the territory stuff, but he did come up with WCW, develop a character, and then obviously the Clique really liked him, so they were really excited when he came over to WWF at the time. And it didn't help that he had Sable by his side as a valet, which helped elevate his character. But
yeah,
look, the guy knows his shit. He knows his stuff. He knows how to run a business, and he's been in the business for a long time. He's not a junkie. He's not a steroid user. He's not a pill popper. He's not anything. He's very lucid. He's very there. He's almost straight edge without being straight edge. I think he has like a drink once in a blue moon. But he's always there. He's always there. He's always in the moment. And unlike Vince, where I think Vince became, some people always tell Vince, and Vince doesn't understand it when he does interviews and stuff, when people bring this up, that people are scared to talk to you. And Vince is like, why? I'm right there. Say something. I'm here. I'm always there. I don't think people are afraid to talk to Triple H because they look at him as one of the boys. And I think that's the biggest asset. It could be a detriment down the line. I
was going to say that could be a weakness too.
Yeah, we've all worked in businesses, whether it's wrestling world or anywhere else in any job in the world. It's great to be friends with the boss until it isn't. Until the boss says something you don't like, right? And then all of a sudden that relationship
he has to make a decision he has to make a decision that you don't like.
Yeah. And I mean, I guess in this case, he can just blame his boss, his wife. Stephanie said, no, I can't do it. And then she beats bad guy. But, let's be real. From my point of view, I'm excited about the next era of WWE. I think every show they've put on, from Clash of the Castle, that Sheamus and Gunther match, the SummerSlam was great. Some of the stuff they're doing, reintroducing some of these characters that have come back that we really didn't want to be released in the first place. He's given that to us. So let's see what the long-term storyline goes, because we're getting what we want, Dan.
Yeah.
The question is, where does it go? And I think the payoff is obviously Royal Rumble, WrestleMania. Who gets that rub? If you had to look forward to WrestleMania right now, and you already talked about some of the part-timers and stuff like that, but who is headlining WrestleMania? Who in Triple H's version of WWE is now going to be the man, along with obviously Roman Reigns and some of the people that are already there?
I think the big question is when Cody comes back, because he was being pushed by Vince. Is he going to be pushed the same way with Triple H as he was?
From what I hear, yes.
So if he does, that's great. But if he doesn't, then damn, you're missing out on a great story to tell with him coming back.
Well, quick question to get sidetracked real quick because of Cody.
Yeah.
Doesn't he have to? Because doesn't that send a message to any AEW talent that he might want to steal away? That, hey, look what we did with Cody. This could be you. Doesn't he almost have to keep that up?
It could, but then he could play it off as,
I'm a long-term storyteller, and he thinks ahead like that.
Yeah, but he could. But then again, he could pull the whole, which WWE would do a lot, is, he's injured, now he's coming back. Let me slowly bring him back and re-showcase him before doing something like that, you know? And then you go through like a whole year of that where he has like a match at WrestleMania, but not as big, and then you book him for the following year at that point and hope that he doesn't get hurt, because WWE has done that plenty of times, but I'm hoping that they don't. I hope that they do the right thing, because I'm excited for the Triple H era, but I have caution with some of it, because I know what he does well, and I know what he hasn't done well so far, and I know the fact that not everybody's going to be used. And it's like,
what do you think about the fact that he's been there the whole time that Vince was doing what he was doing? So he's not like he's brand new. Like, he's been part of that regime.
No, but then he was away for a while. He was away for a while medically. So it makes you think, how all of a sudden is he healthy now? Like he said, he was like, I got to learn to divvy up time. I can't just be all in all the time. He was like, I have to give myself time.
Well, he told Ariel he could actually probably even wrestle if he wanted to. He doesn't see the point of taking the risk.
No, he says he's done that. He says
he's done.
Yeah, but I am excited. Just there's a caution to me here and there with booking, and then seeing that every star has a chance to be booked. And then, of course, I got to see the road to WrestleMania, how many part-timers get brought back. Because he said he wants to use less of them. So if he goes in there and he uses the same amount as Vince, then he's going against what he said. But say he only brings back, say, Brock, then I'll know, okay, I see it now. I see what you're trying to do. But I got to see it first.
I also look at part-timers different than you, because part-timers like Brock, I don't think to me that's not part-time, because he's there several times a year. When I think part-time, I think somebody comes in for like a WrestleMania or somewhere like The Rock, that comes in once for like a big spot and then you don't see him again. Or John Cena now, because he comes in like once a year.
Well, yeah. Well,
but when it comes to like Brock Lesnar, I don't consider him part-time anymore, because Brock has wrestled quite a bit over the last couple years.
Last year. Before this
last couple years, he's been in and out of storylines left and right.
Yeah, but it's been like, okay, before face Brock, when he was heel Brock, it was okay. He'll show up at Royal Rumble.
I mean, he'll take his time off, yeah.
And then he'll come back for Mania, but then he wouldn't show up again until build for SummerSlam. But you only wrestle 4 or 5 times a year.
Yeah, but I look at part-timers as like people that don't show up for years at a time. Like come in like a Goldberg.
I consider that something different. Like part-time, you're part-time. If you're full-time, you're there full-time, like 40 hours a week. And he's not there. So obviously you're part-time.
You don't work 40 hours a week.
Huh?
You don't work 40 hours a week. How are you talking about other people working 40 hours a week?
I'm a part-timer, man.
You are what you ate.
I know what I am, so I know what he is.
Like, I'll wrap this up by saying this. I think a lot of people are genuinely excited. I think he's done a great job of building the buzz around WWE again. He's done a great job of giving the fans at home what they want. what they ask for. They're like, oh, we want these people back. Will they stay? Will they not? Will people come? Will people go? That's just part of the business. But what I will say is that in order to continue this evolution, for one, he kind of has to push Cody the way they promised him. It might even be contractual at that point because of what Vince gave him to come back. But Cody gets it. Cody's been around Triple H for a long time. He's not new to WWE. He was there before. He came back. He knows Triple H isn't going to put him in a stupid Stardust gimmick. Like, that's just not what Triple H really does. There will always be an entertainment aspect to WWE. Honestly, I think Danhausen signing with AEW was a friend's move, but it was a bad move for him because I think his character is built for WWE. That kind of goofy little side stick. And the worst part is about Danhausen is that he can actually wrestle. Anybody's ever watched his Ring of Honor stuff, he can actually go. He can wrestle pretty well. But he makes so much money off the gimmick, right? The gimmick's not going anywhere with Triple H. It's still going to be there. You're still going to have people built around certain characters and certain larger-than-life things. Whether it's part-time guys or not, I don't care as long as I get a great show. And that's what we're really paying for. Whether you're buying a ticket for the stands, you're paying for whatever network. I think most people get Peacock by default through their cable companies, so it's not a big deal. But regardless, I think what we're seeing now is Triple H building these long-term storylines. And I think he's still trying to get all the pieces together, like certain people he's bringing back and certain people he's getting rid of, and he's still trying to figure out. Because he said himself, for 6 months or whatever it was, he was on the sidelines, he didn't watch the product at all. Didn't watch it at all. He was completely disconnected. He was playing with his daughters, raising his kids, just zoned out for a while. It's the best thing. Like, he took that mental break, which I think in any business is very important. I bartended for a long time. The best 2 years of my life is when I was out of the business. And then when I came back, I was so fresh that nothing else pissed me off. Like customers being crazy and rude. And I was just laughing. I was just like, all right, whatever. I don't care. I just had 2 years off of this business. You're not getting to me. But after a few years, guess what? Every little thing starts bothering you. I think the break was great for Triple H. He came back with fresh eyes. He came back with an eye on the prize. And once everything happened with Vince and everything kind of fell in his lap, at first he was probably like 1,000 things at once, trying to just figure out his scheme. The more we go through this honeymoon phase into the next phase, as Dan said, will be more a consistent product. I think the long-term storytelling is going to be huge that Dan mentioned, because now you're going to get a payoff. And like you said, sometimes Triple H goes back to the story too many times in NXT. Well, I think that's missing from the main roster as far as like 3 years from now, if Wrestler A and Wrestler B see each other, don't act like it's brand new. You saw that dude before. Like, that's one thing Vince would do is like, oh, Wrestler A has never wrestled Wrestler B before, but they wrestled like 25 matches on their own TV. Like, it's always like, I'm pitching a story and you're going to believe it because I say it. Or Triple H kind of realizes like the fans aren't stupid. They saw this in NXT. They're seeing it now in the main roster. He carries over those storylines. Whereas Vince wanted a clean slate whenever they hit that main roster. Now he's like Johnny Gargano, perfect example, talking about the time with The Way and Austin Theory in NXT. They realize people know these things. They know there's a connection. The only thing I will say, Dan, and I'll give you the final word on this, stop listening to the networks, please. Y'all are ruining surprises. You're ruining re-debuts. While I do love that some of them were a surprise, like we knew Braun was kind of coming back, but the way he showed up was awesome. He ran in and destroyed everybody. Johnny Gargano coming in Toronto talking, which made no sense because they were supposed to be in Cleveland like a couple weeks later. That's his home. Like, why not do in Cleveland? But I feel like there is a part of the surprise that AEW gets that WWE has lost a long time ago because they appeal to Fox and USA, and they have to tell everybody, or like, so-and-so is going to debut on this show. And I think Triple H is trying to bring back some of the surprise. Like, he's doing the little vignettes with most likely Bray Wyatt. Like, they're doing some of these things. And the behind the scenes, behind the camera, like you mentioned. Like, what's going on in the production, like in an interview backstage. What's happening over in the corner. Like, he's doing some of that really cool stuff. But please stop listening to the networks. If you're going to bring back a superstar or you're going to bring in somebody brand new, let him come in and disrupt a match. Let him run in. Let him be a surprise mystery partner, right? Like, what happened to the mystery partner? Like, it used to be like, oh my God. And then, oh shit, it's Chris Jericho. Oh my God. Like, let that surprise be that. That's why people watch wrestling every week. regardless of what's happening in storylines, the surprises, even the part-timers that Dan hates, Dan pops when Brock Lesnar shows up out of nowhere. Dan pops when Goldberg shows up because Dan's a mark for Goldberg. Don't let him fool you.
Nope.
Dan, final thought on this whole subject. Take us home.
I'm just going to be very intrigued to see how he does down the road. I'm going to have, of course, skepticism because of what we've seen from the WWE product. I'm always going to like the WWE product, but it's always based off of 50-50 booking and everything with that. But I'll be excited just because it's fresh and new leadership. You got all the young talent getting used, and that's a big thing with me. I want the young talent to be pushed. I want them to be showcased. I don't want them to go through NXT just to get lost in the shuffle on a Raw and SmackDown because no one knows how to use them, and then them going over to AEW, and you got everybody getting mad at AEW for taking more talent, but here WWE goes, they're doing it now. But everybody's praising WWE, but they're knocking on AEW half the time. It's like, let's be more consistent with the criticism on both shows or praising on both shows. I don't want to hear those comments like that because it's like you're basically back saying what you just said about this company before.
I think it's great.
Just be happy that we have two products that we can watch with all this talent. It gives them more chances to compete in the ring, whether it's here or there.
I think it's great, Dan, because, and I'll let you finish. I think it's great because if they're criticizing it, that means they're watching.
Exactly.
If they're angry about something, that means they care about it. So they don't care about it, they're not commenting on it. They're not. It's just a dismissal, like whatever. They're actually passionate about hating one thing or the other for both companies, and that's the best thing in the world for competition because that means you care and you're watching.
Exactly. But my thing with that is, you're saying this is bad, but they're doing the same thing, but you're saying that's good
because you're fanboying from one side or the other.
Yeah. So it's like just be happy. Like now we have two companies, like now you get Triple H. Like we were hating WWE for a good while because of the way they were, but now they're fresh. Now they're the new hotness because Triple H took over, and that's only going to benefit AEW in the long run. Because now they're starting to try and right the ship and correct mistakes on their product, and who benefits the most? Us, the fans. Yeah. So I'm gonna love it. But I'm going to be in the back just checking, like, okay, are they using this guy? Are they saying they're doing what they're doing and then they're actually doing it? But I'll have excitement for it because I've always been a fan of Triple H.
Yeah, I think that's a perfect way to end it. Folks, leave a comment at home. Tell us what you think about the Triple H era so far, where you think it's going. Are you excited? Do you think it's the same old, or what's the case? Tell us, leave us a comment, let us know. For Dan Bakley, I am Mike Ginn. This is Slamtown. We'll see you next time.